Hello, everyone, and welcome to Automate Live. My name's Jim Beretta, and I'm here with Marian Schneider from Planar Motors, and he's an exhibitor here at the show. So welcome to Automate Live.
Yeah, thank you, Jim, for having me.
So, Marian, how'd you get into this industry? Have you been into automation in a while?
So I am actually pretty fresh in the industry, I want to say. I graduated with my master's about a year and a half ago. So this is my first job in the industry. But yeah, I have a background in mechatronics engineering. And so, yeah, I got into the automation industry. By now, I would say I've developed quite the skill set, and am working as a applications engineer at Planar Motor now. And I love it. It's great.
So tell our audience a little bit about Planar Motors, and it's located in Richmond, BC, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we're based in Richmond, just outside of Vancouver, BC. All of our development and production happens there, and then we ship into the entire world, basically. Yeah, Planar Motor, we are a company that manufactures and produces a smart 6 degree of freedom magnetically levitating motion platform. So that's a mouthful. Yeah, we're basically, we have this platform here. Our flyways, that's the stator, if you want to compare it to a traditional linear motor.
Can you show me a stator?
Yeah, absolutely. So this here is the stator. It looks pretty boring from the top. Underneath, you'll see we have our power connections, communications, and built-in cooling channels for liquid cooling. Generally not required, but if needed, we can add it. Yeah, and then inside, there's a bunch of coils, which we energize, we run current through them, and that creates a dynamic magnetic field. And then the counterpart that is moving in the end, that is our XBot. These are completely passive. There's really only permanent magnets inside, no electronics or anything. And so once this, like all of this is plugged in, the magnetic field that's created by the stator, by the flyway, that will have full 6 degree of freedom control over my XBot. And so
what is the height of the levitation?
Yeah, so
this is a conveyor system, right? Like oftentimes used as a conveyor system in our industry, right?
That's right. Yeah, we are a conveyance system. We're more than that, I would say. Like we don't only go from point A to B, but we actually do processes and like the work that happens in the different workstations on the mover, and we utilize the movement and all 6 degrees of freedom to do these like processes. But yeah, levitation height. Generally, our standard is 1 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough to be fully friction-free. There's no wheels or bearings or anything. We're actually floating, which means no abrasion, no particles. It's a super clean technology. Also, no maintenance. We have 0 mechanical components inside. It's all solid-state electronics. And then we can go up to 4 millimeters in levitation height with our 3 series, and then our 4 series, which is kind of like just a scaled up version, a bigger version, that allows us to run a bit more energy efficient. With that one, we can go up to 5 millimeters.
And what's kind of cool about this is that they're square. And then you can build any type of, you could build a runway, you could build like almost a precision dial if you want to think about it like that. What industries are using Planar Motors?
Really a really wide variety. So general industrial automation, wherever you have that, you will find Planar Motors by now. Industries that have been going strong for us have been pharma, beauty, cosmetics, that kind of stuff, food and beverage, semiconductors, automotive, consumer electronics, yeah, you name it.
And because there's no particulation, you can be in medical device, you can be in clean room,
That's right.
But can it be wet, the industry?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so the product as it's standing right here has an IP rating of 65, 67. So any like dust, water, oil that's dripping onto the system, no problem. And then for those applications in, let's say, clean room or hygienic applications where we need to sanitize the whole thing on a regular basis, we offer the XBots wrapped in stainless steel, basically, as a hygienic version. And then we're able to also cover the entire system, like our stators, with stainless steel. And then we can get up to an IP69K rating, full washdown capability.
And one of the cool things about your videos, and I know the product, of course, is that you can spin.
That's right. Yeah.
And can you tell our audience a little bit about the speeds that you can spin at and the speeds that you can traverse? And you're fully programmable, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So each XBot is fully individually controllable. Each one has their own unique ID, so we can differentiate which one is which one. And if you have different products on the same line, for example, that's important. But yeah, like I said in the beginning, we have full control over all 6 degrees of freedom. So we can move in X and Y at 2 meters per second with 2g acceleration. We can tilt around X and Y. That's, of course, depending on the size of the XBot. So the bigger we get, the less tilt we have.
Right.
And then rotation. We can rotate a full 360 degrees when we're at the center of the flyway. And with that, we can get up to somewhere around 700 RPM. Yeah, it's honestly...
more than you need.
Exactly, yeah.
And what applications, like you're in a lot of industries, like in every industry, what applications are you seeing? Because this is kind of like a robot. So I can imagine with Dispense, you don't need a robot anymore because the planar motor acts as a robot, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So what you said, Dispense, that's something that we see all the time pretty much. Fill finish in the pharma industry, glue dispensing, things like that. Where, basically your dispense head now can stay stationary and we move the product underneath. Assembly is a really big part that we do. So you have multiple components coming in onto our system. And then all these different workstations where, like, with a traditional conveyance system, you usually go in one direction at more or less a constant speed, right? And so that automatically creates bottlenecks.
Right.
You have a station that has a long processing time, and everybody else has to wait until that station is done. We fix that problem because we have completely individual and flexible and dynamic routing, which means we can overtake, we can go back, we can go from station A to C to F, back to A if we need to, instead of like A, B, C, D. And then obviously we can do that fully dynamically. So based on, let's say, an inspection result, we can say, okay, this product needs to be like reprocessed at station A. We go back there, inspect again, and say, okay, now it's good.
And what is the maximum payload for the flywheel?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of different sizes of these XBots. This one here is our smallest one. This one can carry 600 grams, a bit over a pound. And then we have, different sizes all the way up to around 85 pounds.
And is there any really interesting parts? Like I always think of packaging as a perfect application, right? Because you've got so many places where you said, hey, this is a bottleneck. Well, not anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, packaging, that's another industry, let's say, that we're in. Creation of mix packs, reorientation of parts, like with this rotation that we can do, short edge versus long edge leading, things like that, where you previously required like an extra rotary stage or like an extra SCARA or something to achieve that. We can combine all of that in just our one system.
So I'm assuming that you deal a lot with applications engineers. You're an applications engineer yourself, right?
Yeah.
So you're probably on the side where you might be doing some work with an integrator and their application. What do they need? Like what are some of the questions you ask the applications engineer on the other side?
Right. So let's call it our way of working is I want to learn as much about the application as possible, of course. And the first thing I always ask is, how heavy is your payload? Like, what are you transporting? And that includes your product itself, but also any tooling that's required to hold your product on the XBot. The XBot has threaded holes and dowel pin holes, so you can create whatever tooling you need and fix it on there. And so with that weight, we basically decide what size XBot we need to use, because the size of the product is really not that important for us. We can tell our system if the product is overhanging, let's say. It's really only the weight of the payload that's the deciding factor. And then based on that, we choose the size of the XBot, and that kind of will tell us how big the system needs to be in general. And our goal is to design the system as small as possible.
Right.
Like we'll always try to reduce the footprint, of course, also bring down the cost for our customers. So we'll always try to have as few flyways as possible with as many XBots as possible.
So I was kind of thinking you probably don't have to get into other challenges. And I'm not going to call this a conveyor, but you don't get into the challenge of turning corners or something. You just put a motor in there and it goes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What you mentioned earlier, this is a completely modular product with this square form factor. We also have a version that's rectangular, so that allows you like a longer, like one lane travel in cases where you only need one lane. But yeah, that modularity basically allows you to create any layout that you want. And so we're going away from like the linear production line that I mentioned earlier towards building our system around your workstations in the most efficient possible way.
So now so your process is get the information, figure out how many motors you need, figure out how many XBots you need, sorry, and then send them a quote, and then and are you guys busy right now?
Oh yeah. Business is going great for us. Planar Motor has been on the market for about 8 years now, so It's still a new technology, but it's being adapted more and more. And I'm sure if you walk around this trade show today, you're gonna see this technology more and more. Big automation providers are using it by now, and it's definitely the trend that I think will develop in the next couple of years.
When your clients tell you about ROI, do they tell you a little bit about, hey, we like the fact that there's no moving parts? Like, literally, there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, maintenance is a big part. And so while the system might be a slightly higher initial invest, the ROI is coming back pretty quickly. Maintenance is a big factor. In fact, our manual says the only maintenance is wipe it down every once in a while. And that's it. You don't have any downtime. The system runs 24/7 basically. No replacement costs, no repair costs, nothing.
That's exciting. So what booth are you in? What's your booth number?
We are at booth 3646.
And it's kind of funny because we're not showing it moving here, but you really do have to see it moving to kind of really appreciate the elegance that's behind the planar motor.
Exactly. Yeah, please stop by our booth. We have both our 3 Series and our 4 Series. We have different mover sizes. We have our hygienic XBots there. And yeah, like Jim said, it does look like magic when it's moving. It's just floating in the air. Doesn't make any noise. So yeah, got to see it for yourself.
And if somebody's interested, but they're not here at the show, how best should they get in touch with you at Planar Motor to get some maybe estimates or whatever?
Yeah. So I would say the easiest way, go onto our website, planarmotor.com. And then there are a bunch of videos of applications, real machines in the industry, also other demo videos that we did in the office. And of course, our email to get in touch with us, solutions@planarmotor.com. And then either myself or one of my colleagues will get back to you, set up a meeting, and learn about your application and how we can help you solve your challenges.
Thank you very much for coming on to Automate Live.
Thank you, Jim, for having me.
We'll see you at your booth.
Appreciate it.